Ladies and gentlemen, friends, dreamers, and fighters of life, I want to ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly alive? Not just breathing, not just going through the motions, but alive in a way where your heart was racing, your mind was on fire, and your soul whispered, "Yes, this is living."
Think about it. Was it the first time you learned something new? Was it when you stepped outside of your comfort zone? Was it when you conquered a fear or took on a challenge that seemed impossible? Now let me ask you another question. What if I told you that staying young has nothing to do with the number of candles on your birthday cake and everything to do with the way you use your mind? What if the true secret to youth, the real fountain of vitality, has been with you all along, beating quietly inside your chest and buzzing within your brain? Today, we're going to talk about how to keep your brain young. Not just young in memory, not just sharp in logic, but young in energy, creativity, and courage. Because life doesn't reward the person who fears age. Life rewards the person who keeps their brain alive, awake, and hungry, no matter what stage of life they're in. I once met a man in his late 70s at a small library workshop. He walked in carrying 3 books on computer coding. I asked him, half curious and half surprised, "Why are you learning this now?" He smiled, leaned closer, and whispered, "Because the moment I stop learning is the moment I start dying." That man, at nearly 80, had the spark of a 20-year-old. His body might have slowed down, but his brain was running marathons. And on the other end of the spectrum, I've met people in their 20s who have already convinced themselves they are too old to try something new, too set in their ways to learn, too afraid of failure to challenge their brains. They stopped growing before they even really started. You see, youth is not an age. Youth is a mindset. Youth is the ability to remain curious, to push through struggles, and to see possibility where others see walls. The brain, like a muscle, thrives on challenge. And when we feed it with new experiences, new knowledge, and new perspectives, it stays young, no matter how many years we've lived. But let's be honest, life does not make this easy. Every single one of us faces challenges. Some of us face the weight of bills, work stress, family obligations, health scares. Some of us have experienced heartbreak, betrayal, disappointment, and loss. And in those moments, it's easy to let the brain retreat into survival mode, doing only the bare minimum to get through the day. Yet here lies the opportunity. It is in the moments of hardship that we are handed the greatest gift, the chance to stretch the mind, to adapt, to persevere. The brain doesn't stay young by avoiding challenges. The brain stays young by engaging with them, by refusing to surrender, by learning to see obstacles not as dead ends, but as detours toward growth. Let me tell you something powerful. Every challenge you face is not just testing your strength, it is exercising your brain. Think of it like lifting weights at the mental gym. The heavier the burden, the stronger the mind becomes, if you choose to lift it. If you decide to say, "I will not let this defeat me, I will find a way through." Let's look at history. Some of the greatest innovators, thinkers, and creators didn't peak in their 20s. No, many of them soared later in life because they kept their brains young. Grandma Moses, the American folk artist, didn't even begin painting until her 70s. By the time she was well into her 80s, she had produced thousands of works that are still celebrated today. Why? Because she believed it was never too late to create. Colonel Harlan Sanders,
the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken, was 65 when he started his fried chicken empire.
Many people would have retired at that age, but instead he was knocking on doors, pitching his recipe, facing rejection after rejection, until he built a global brand. His body aged, but his mind remained hungry.
And then there's Leonardo da Vinci, who even in his later years remained obsessed with learning, from anatomy to engineering, from painting to philosophy. His relentless curiosity made his brain ageless. What do these examples tell us? They remind us that your brain's youth is not measured by time, but by growth, curiosity, and resilience.
So, how do we keep our brain young in our everyday lives? It begins with 3 commitments: perseverance, self-belief, and turning challenges into opportunities.
First, perseverance. Your brain thrives on persistence. Think of the last time you tried to learn something difficult, maybe a new language, a new job skill, or even adjusting to a new chapter in life. At first, it felt frustrating, maybe even impossible. But as you stuck with it, your brain started to rewire, to grow, to adapt. Perseverance is the fertilizer for a young brain.
Second, self-belief. Nothing ages the brain faster than doubt. The moment you tell yourself, "I can't," your brain agrees and shuts the door. But when you believe, truly believe that you are capable of growth, your brain rises to the challenge. Science even shows this. People who believe they can learn actually learn more effectively because their brain stays open to possibilities.
And third, turning challenges into opportunities. Every difficulty you encounter can either shrink your mind or expand it. It all depends on perspective. If you view struggles as proof of weakness, your brain contracts. But if you see them as stepping stones, as chances to discover new strengths, your brain grows stronger, sharper, and yes, younger. Let me make this personal. Imagine for a moment that you are walking up a steep hill. Your legs ache, your lungs burn, your body screams for you to stop. That's life, isn't it? Sometimes we feel the uphill battle. But now imagine that at the top of that hill is the most breathtaking view you've ever seen. When you finally reach it, the struggle makes the view sweeter.
That's exactly how your brain works. The climb, the effort, the challenge, they keep it alive. And here's the beautiful truth. Your brain never loses its ability to grow. Scientists used to believe that after a certain age, the brain stopped creating new connections.
But now we know that the brain can grow and rewire itself at any age, a phenomenon called neuroplasticity. That means every time you learn something new, every time you face a challenge, every time you step outside of your comfort zone, you are literally keeping your brain young. So how do you do it in your daily life? Start small. Read a book outside of your usual interests. Have a conversation with someone from a different background. Learn a skill you've always been curious about. Cooking, playing an instrument, writing, coding, dancing, anything. Challenge your memory by memorizing a poem, a quote, or even a phone number instead of letting your device do it. Exercise your body, because a healthy body fuels a healthy brain. And perhaps most importantly, challenge your fears. Nothing strengthens the brain like doing what scares you. I want you to think about one thing you've been putting off because you thought you were too old, too busy, or not smart enough. Maybe it's going back to school. Maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it's writing that book you've kept in your heart for years. Today, I dare you to take one step toward it, because that step will remind your brain, I am alive. I am growing. I am still young. But let me be clear. This isn't just about adding years to your life. This is about adding life to your years. Nobody wants to simply exist. We want to live. We want to wake up each morning with purpose, excitement, and energy. A young brain gives you that. A young brain lets you see possibilities where others see problems, hope where others see despair, opportunities where others see dead ends. The world we live in today is moving faster than ever. Technology, culture, opportunities, they're evolving by the second. If you want to keep up, if you want to thrive, you must keep your brain adaptable. You must be willing to learn, to unlearn, and to relearn. That's what keeps you young. And remember, failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the raw material that shapes success. Every mistake you make, every setback you face, every rejection you endure, these are the weights in the mental gym.
Lift them and your brain grows stronger. Avoid them and your brain grows weaker. Friends, I want to leave you with this. Imagine your brain as a flame. If you shield it too much from the wind, it will suffocate and die. But if you expose it to just the right challenges, the wind doesn't extinguish it, it makes it burn brighter. That is the secret to keeping your brain young.
So today, I challenge you. Feed your brain with curiosity. Exercise it with perseverance. Protect it with self-belief. And fuel it with courage in the face of challenges. Refuse to let fear, doubt, or comfort zones age you before your time. Because the truth is, youth is not behind you. Youth is within you. Every single day, you have the choice to live with the hunger of a beginner, the courage of a fighter, and the hope of a dreamer. So don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait until you feel ready. Start today. Read that book. Take that class. Chase that dream. Face that fear. And remind your brain that it is still young, still alive, still powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, life is short, but the mind is infinite. Keep your brain young, and you keep your spirit young. Keep your spirit young, and you unlock a life of endless growth, endless discovery, and endless possibility. So rise today with courage. Walk forward with purpose. And remember, the best way to keep your brain young is to never stop living young.